Today, Saturday, the 15th of February 2025, we have some hand-picked match predictions to share with you, which of course will be backed up by some stats and analytics to help you make your picks in this list to boost your winning by a greater percent. And to those of you who want to have access to our hand-picked events, as well as having access to our top-notch bet class tutorials to take your winning to the next height, then of course you want to make sure to join either the level 2 pro plan or the level 3 master plan to have access to these features to take your winning to the next height. And before we proceed to the event of today, I'll first of all want to share with you the result of yesterday. So congratulations based on yesterday's event, for we all registered wins. And let's look at the result based on yesterday's event. So let's proceed. So looking at yesterday's event, we shared total of 5 games. 4 of these 5 were successful. Looking at the event, we looked at the first game in the Saudi Arabia Professional League, where we looked at Al Hilal against Al Riyadh. In this event, we looked at 1.5 going full time as well as 2 goals over. Those that went for 1.5 goal successful, congratulations. In the next, we looked at Cyprus League, AK Larnaca against Paralimni. We looked at AK Larnaca to lead. We also looked at 1.5 goal and 2.5 goal in full time. In all the cases, it was true. It ended as 4 against 1, AK Larnaca lead. And there was also the possibility of 1.5 and 2.5 goal in full time. Successful and congratulations. In the next, we looked at Germany in the second Bundesliga. We had 2 cases here for corner kick. The first was Magdeburg against Köln, and we looked at 1.5 and 2.5 goal corners for Magdeburg. Of course, here Magdeburg had a total of 3 corners, making 1.5 and 2.5 corners for Magdeburg to be successful. So we had from 2 to 4 corner kick, which we looked at between 1 and 3 successful. Congratulations. In the next, we looked still in the corner kick, still in the second Bundesliga, Paderborn against Prusen Mustar. We looked at Paderborn to have more corners, 2.5, 3.5 corners. All the cases were true. It ended up with a total of 9 corner kick, making it a successful event. Congratulations. And the only event which ended as unsuccessful was in the Germany Regional Liga West, where we looked at Duisburg against Paderborn. At least 1.5 going full time, it ended as 0-0. So we had a total of 4 out of 5 success. That is a total of 4 wins out of 5 in the event we looked at based on yesterday's event. So let's look at today's event. Now, of course, let's now look at the event of today. But before we proceed, I have a quick announcement to make. If you come here to the front page of our channel here, titled as the Home tab, you're going to notice that we provide match predictions based on members only. You can see members only, as well as members only. We provide match predictions in terms of corner kick event, goals, match picks, straight wins, and other events to our members only. And for you to have access to these features, then of course you want to make sure to become a member of the level 2 pro plan or the level 3 master plan to start to have access to these features to take your winning to the next height. To those of you who want to join, the link is below this video description. You want to go there, navigate and join to become a member to have this access. Not only are you going to have access to our hand-pick event like this, but once you are a member of the level 2 pro plan, as for example, you're also going to have access to our level 2 pro classes, which will give you access to top-notch bet class tutorials like the live match corner kick strategy, which we have explained. A simple trick to make consistent win, step by step, followed by never seen soccer match prediction strategy, which we have explained. You are also going to have access to the straight win comeback soccer bet strategy that will amaze you, followed by never seen straight win and 2.5 goal strategies. Finally, you are going to have access to the 99% win rate strategy for members only of the level 2 pro class, which means that if you are a member of the level 2 pro plan, you will have access to level 2 pro classes as well as access to some of our handpick events which we share to members of level 2 pro. Now, if you're a member of the level 3 masterclass, you're going to have access to even more top-notch tutorials like the top secret AI tool which we use to find games in terms of goals and straight win. You also have access to the game changer corner kick strategy that reveal our top secret website as well as strategy to find corner kick events for huge wins. You also have access to the 6 amazing AI tool we use, followed by the home and away win match prediction strategy explained step by step. And finally, you have access to the 2.5 goal strategy that you can use to beat the bookies and win even more. And these are what you are going to have once you are a member of either level 2 or the level 3 master. Of course, once you join as a member of the level 2 or level 3 master, I'll put a link below this video so that once you become a member, go to that link and click on it, and you're going to watch all of this video in one place, so that it's going to ease you all of the video in one place, and you become a master and start to have access to this feature once you watch the video tutorial and start to find your own game event to take your winning to the next height. So once you join any of these plan, you're going to have access to our top-notch bet class tutorials as well as our hand-picked events to start taking your winning to the next height. So that being said, let's proceed to the first event on our today's list. Looking at the first event, we looked at England in the Premier League, a match between Leicester against Arsenal. For this particular event, of course, the performance of the match played by Leicester have proved that they are very conceding in terms of recent event they have had. Arsenal, on the other hand, have proved that the offensive strength in terms of recent event they have proved to be good. Looking at the stand performance in terms of games played by these two, the home Leicester have proved that the defensive strength is not very tight, conceding 11 goals in just 5 events, prove that the defensive line is not very tightened. But that of its opponent, on the other hand, as you can see here, in terms of recent game played, Arsenal proved to have a good offense recently. And looking at this, we look at 2 to 3 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, we want to look at Arsenal to be the upper hand, but of course, goals probability will be the most occurrence. Since both sides want to impress, Arsenal, on the other hand, with a good striking power, want to look at least the possibility of 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. Looking at the next, we looked at Germany in the Regional Liga Nord, that is Nordost, a match between Jena against Plön. This event, the performance of Plön, the away, have proved to concede too much of goals. They have a very weak defensive lineup. But that of the opponent at home have proved to have a good offense as compared to that of the away, scoring 5-1-1 in each event. Looking at the stands, the home performance of the home, especially the recent game they have had, prove that they have a good offense. Scoring 10 goals in 5 events prove that the offense is good. But that of its opponent, on the other hand, in terms of the away game play, the defensive line is very weak, conceding 8 goals in just 5 events. And looking at this, we look at 2 major picks here in full time. For these particular events, of course, both of the two sides want to impress, and the fact that one side has a weak defense and the other with an average offense, both of the two sides, of course, shoot on and off target, resulting to goals. So I want to look at least the possibility of 1.5 goal here to occur in full time. Looking at the next, we looked at Israel in the Liga Hal, a match between Hapoel Beersheva against Ironi. In this event, the away have proved to concede goals based on recent event they have had, and looking at the performance they have had, they had draw against Sakim, and also with some events or teams that are not as strengthened as compared to matches played by the home. The home have proved to have a very high scoring rate capacity, especially against Maccabi Petah and also against other opponents which have proved to be better in terms of stance. Of course, looking at the recent head-to-head they meet, these two teams made total of 5 goals were scored recently. This time, especially the home still have a good form, and comparing the stance of these two in terms of recent gameplay, the home Beersheva have proved to be very offensive, scoring 13 goals in 5 events. That's a good offense, and the defensive line of the away is not as tightened as that of the home. Looking at the defense of the away, the defensive strength is not very tight, and look at 2 to 3 major picks here in full time. For these particular events, the performance of the home have proved to be better in terms of the strike power, and since the defense of the away is not very tight, want to look at the offense of the home to take advantage of the weak defense of the away. Seeing the offensive line of the home is better and the defense of the away is weak, we look at the home to lead as one of the major pick, as well as at least 1.5 going full time for this particular event. Looking at the next here, we look at England in the Premier League, Aston Villa against Ipswich. The performance of Aston in terms of recent event they have had have proved to be very offensive, scoring 2-4 goals in each event. That of Ipswich, on the other hand, concede as much as they can. Based on recent event, the defensive line is not very strengthened. Looking at the stand performance in terms of recent event they have had, the performance of the home Aston have proved to be better, scoring 8 goals in 5 events. And looking at that of Ipswich, you are going to see that the defensive line is not very strengthened, and of course, the defensive line here for Ipswich conceded 9 goals, even though the offense is average. And looking at this, we want to look at 2 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, Aston is most hard in striking power, and since the defense will not want to allow Aston to beat it this time, there will be more corner kick for Aston because it will cause more shoot on and off target, resulting to blocks by the way. leading to corners. So look at Aston Villa to have at least the possibility of 3 corner kicks or 4 corner kicks in this event in full time for Aston Villa. Looking at the next, to look at England in the Premier League, Southampton against Bournemouth. For this event, the performance of Southampton in terms of the recent gameplay they have had proved that, of course, Southampton, the defensive line is not very strengthened. They concede too much of goals recently. That of Bournemouth, on the other hand, proved to have more offense, scoring 4 goals against Newcastle and 2 against Everton. Of course, the stand performance in terms of recent gameplay they've had proved that the form of the away Bournemouth proved to be better in terms of the offensive strength. Scoring 13 goals in 5 games played show that they have a good offense. But the defense of the home is not as tightened. And looking at this, of course, the defensive line of the away proved that they concede too much goals, up to 19 goals in just 5 events. And looking at this, we look at 2 to 3 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, the away Bournemouth have proved to be more offensive. And since the defensive strength of the home is not very tightened, we looked at least the possibility of 1.5 goal in full time. Looking at the weak defense of the home, Bournemouth will take advantage to score. And therefore, look at least 1.5 goal in full time for Bournemouth to lead. These are the major picks for this particular event. Looking at the next, we looked at Scotland in the Premiership, a match between Celtic against Dundee United. Looking at this event, the performance of Celtic recently have proved to be very offensive, especially in the SC, which is the Scotland Cup, and also in the Premiership of Scotland, scoring up to 6 goals against Dundee in the last head-to-head. Of course, this time Dundee United is coming to have a match against Celtic, the home team. Looking at the recent performance between these two as head-to-head, Celtic played at home recently, beat Dundee by 2-0. This time, the performance of Dundee, on the other hand, proved that the defensive line is not very strengthened. And looking at the stand performance in terms of recent events they have had, Celtic, in terms of form based on the home performance, have proved to have a very amazing form. Out of games they have played, the most recent games they have played at home, Celtic have scored 19 goals in just 5 events. But that of the away Dundee, on the other hand, proved that the defensive line in terms of the away is not very tight. And looking at this, we look at 2 to 3 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, of course, the last head-to-head resulted to Celtic to lead. This time, Dundee, the away team, would not want to lead Celtic to take the lead here this time. They will try every possibility to cause blocks caused by the shoot on target or off target by Celtic, resulting to Celtic having the upper hand in terms of corner kicks, because most of the event striking power goal off and on target will be blocked, resulting to deflection of the ball from the goal point, resulting to corners. So we are looking at corner kick for Celtic, at least 3.5 corner kick for Celtic. So we want to look between 2 to 4 corners for Celtic in full time, and even 5 corner kicks in full time for Celtic. Also want to look at the probability of at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time as the next possibility. Looking at the next, we looked at Netherlands in the Eredivisie, a match between PSV Eindhoven against Utrecht. For this particular event, the recent game played by PSV Eindhoven have proved that they have a good form, especially in the CL, that is in the Champions League they have had against Liverpool, and also in the Eredivisie itself, where they have a high striking power. Looking at the comparison of that of its opponent, the away have proved that the defensive line of the away is not very tough, conceding too much of goal recently. Looking at the stand performance in terms of recent event they have had, the form for the home have proved that they are good in terms of the recent striking event. They've had 5 games recently at home, scoring 15 goals. That's a good striking power, and conceding 6. But that of its opponent, on the other hand, in terms of the defensive line, Utrecht have proved that they also have good offense, and the defense is not very tight. And looking at this, we want to look at 2 to 3 major picks in full time. For this particular event, both of the two sides have good offensive strength, and since the defense of both sides are not very tight, all of the two sides want to take advantage of each other. There will be more shoot on and off target, resulting to goals. So want to look at least the possibility of 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time, or 2 goals over. Looking at the next, we looked at France in the Ligue 1, a match between Marseille against Saint-Etienne. Based on the recent events of the home team Marseille, they have proved to be very offensive, scoring 3 goals in the Ligue 1 against Lyon and also against Strasbourg, where 2 goals were scored. Of course, this time they are coming to meet Saint-Etienne, which on the other hand also prove to concede as much as they can. Looking, of course, at the head-to-head in terms of, that is the stands, in terms of recent event they have had by the form, the home Marseille have proved that the offensive line, of course, is good. Scoring 12 goals in 5 events prove that they have good offense, and the defense is not very tight. That of Saint-Etienne also, on the other hand, based on the defensive lineup, you're going to see that they are not very strengthened in the defense, conceding up to 14 goals and 4 That is 4 scored goals. Looking at this, we look at 2 to 3 major picks in full time. For this particular event, Saint Etienne, the away team, have had a lot of conceded goals recently. And the fact that they are coming to meet for this tournament, the home team Marseille have proved to have more offense. So look at it to take advantage of the weak defense of the away. And this time, since the away has had many loose games, of course, you want to impress this time, trying to also see how they can have a goal. As a result, both sides want to impress, causing shots on and off target, and we look at the possibility of at least 1.5 going full time for this particular event as one of the major pick, as well as at least 2 goals over. These are our major pick for this particular event. Looking at the next, we looked at Austria in the Bundesliga, a match between Salzburg against Tiro. The recent performance of the home Salzburg have proved that the defensive line, especially in the Bundesliga itself, is very offensive. But in the CL, that is in the Champions League, their performance has not been good. And since they have not had good performance in the Champions League, they are coming again to meet for this tournament against Tiro. And Tiro, on the other hand, is not a very defensive team. Looking at the stand performance in terms of recent event they've had for this particular tournament at home, Salzburg have proved that in this particular tournament they are good offense and the defense is not very tight. But that of Tiro, on the other hand, in terms of the defensive line, is not very strengthened, with also an average offense, and want to look at 2 to 3 major picks in full time. For this particular event, Salzburg, the home, want to take advantage of the weak defense of the away and the fact that they have had major losses in the Champions League. They have not performed very well recently. Of course, the only option is on this Austria Bundesliga to try to see how they can improve their performance. As a result, shots on and off target will be high caused by Salzburg. The away team Tiro also, on the other hand, want to impress. Both of the two sides will cause more shots on and off target, resulting to at least goals probability. So look at first choice, Salzburg to lead. Second choice, at least 1.5 going full time or 2 goals over. These are our major pick for this particular event. Looking at the next, we look at Croatia in the HNL. Dynamo Zagreb against Gorica. For this event, Dynamo Zagreb recently have proved to be very offensive, scoring 3 goals in each event. They are very high in terms of offense. Its opponent Gorica, on the other hand, is just average, and the performance rating has not been good, especially having games in the CF itself. That's a club friendly. Their defensive line is not very good as compared to that of Dynamo Zagreb. And looking at the recent head-to-head they have met, as you can see, in the Cup and also in the HNL, while Dynamo Zagreb has always lead. This time they're still coming to meet for this particular tournament. And looking at the stand performance in terms of the home and away game played, Dynamo Zagreb, the home, have proved very offensive for this particular tournament, scoring 10 goals in 5 events. But that of its opponent, on the other hand, in terms of the offensive line, have proved that the defense is not very tightened. And looking at everything in place, we look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, the home Dynamo Zagreb have proved to be better in terms of offense. And since the defense of the away is not very tightened, Dynamo will look at it to be the favorite team here to either have a lead in full time as one of the major picks. We're just looking at 1.5 going full time as the next pick for this particular event. Looking at the next, we looked at Czech Republic in the Fortuna Liga. That is Kavina against Sparta Prague. The recent performance of Sparta Prague in the recent game they've had proved that they are good, especially in the CF, that is in the club friendly as well as in the 1L itself. And looking at that of the home in terms of recent event they've had, the defensive and the offensive line is not very great or tightened. And looking at the recent head-to-head they have had, Sparta Prague still play away. It hits Kavina 3-0. This time they are still coming to meet. And looking at the performance of Sparta Prague, the way have proved that in terms of the form, Sparta Prague stand a good stance, as you can see here, scoring 6 and conceding 6 recently. But that of the home, in terms of the recent game they've had, the defensive line of the home, as you can see, proved that the offense recently, especially when they're at home, is good. And looking at this, we want to look at 2 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, both of the two sides want to impress. Since Sparta Prague have high offense, the home also is a good offensive team, especially when they come at the home. Therefore, both of the two sides want to impress, causing shots on and off target to be high. Therefore, want to look at least the possibility of 1.5 goal here to occur in full time. Looking at the next, look at Greece in the Super League, a match between AK and 10 against Atomitos for this event. And 10 have proved to be very offensive recently, scoring 5 and 2 goals in each event. That of its opponent, on the other hand, is a weak defensive team, and the offense is not very tightened. Looking here at the stand performance in terms of recent events they have had, the home AK and 10s in terms of the form have proved that they are very offensive. They lead this table, sitting on the first place. They've had 13 goals scored and 1 concede. Very high defense and very high offense, but that of its opponent Atomitos, on the other hand, in terms of the recent event they've had, the defensive line is not very good and the offense is average. And looking at this, look at two major picks in full time. For this particular event, the striking power of the home AK and 10 have proved to be very offensive. And since the defensive line of the away is not very tightened and that of the home have very high offense, we look at the stronger offense of the home to take advantage of the weak defense of the away to lead in full time as one of the major pick. We also want to look at least the possibility of 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. Looking at the next, we looked at Portugal in the Liga Portugal, Sporting against Oruca. The recent performance of Sporting in terms of recent events they've had have proved that they are very offensive. They've had games against Ferenc, against Nacional, where they have had a lead. This same Ferenc and Nacional have also had games with the opponent Oruca, where they were not able. You can see Oruca against Nacional 2-1. And of course, based on the comparison in terms of recent events they have had, especially by the comparison of stand and form, Sporting, the home, have proved to be very offensive in recent events they have had. Sitting on the second place, they have scored 9 goals in 5 events, conceding 4, high offense and good defense. Its opponent, Oruca, on the other hand, of course, have a weak defensive line. And looking at this, we look at two major picks in full time. For this particular event, Sporting have the upper hand, and coming at home with the performance of the away that have weak defensive line, we look at Sporting to take advantage of that weak defense to lead in full time as one of the major picks. Of course, as well as the possibility of 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. And since Sporting also have a very high offensive strength, the away team, since most of the time they've had event recently, their performance has not been very good. They will try to defend in this time by all means, resulting to more blocks of the shoot caused by on target and off target by Sporting, causing corner kicks. So we are looking at Sporting also for corner kick to have at least 3 corner kick in full time or 4 corners. So look at 3 major picks here. 1, Sporting to lead. 2, the possibility of 1.5 goal in full time. 3, the possibility of Sporting to have between 2 to 4 corners in full time. And to those of you who want to have access to hand-pick events, which we have shared to members only, as well as our top-notch bet class tutorials to take your winning to the next height, then you want to make sure to subscribe to the Level 2 Pro plan or the Level 3 Master plan to have access to these features to take your winning to the next height. Good luck and see you again in the next upload, and bye-bye for now.